Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us in the live webinar today. Um, Great. We've got an amazing session lined up, a masterclass with Nicholas on how AI is transforming accounting. Before we dive in, I'll give everyone a minute or two to join. I know it takes a bit to grab your coffee, wrap up that last work call, and settle in. So we'll give you folks a couple of minutes. While we wait, can you all pop a quick message in the chat to let us know if you can hear me? Also, let's make sure the chat is working for everyone. So, yeah, happy to have some messages from you guys. And we always love seeing how global our webinars are. So if you're up for it, please drop your city in the chat. It's always fun to see where everyone's tuning in from. All right. I can see folks joining in from Germany, Atlanta, Los Angeles. Awesome, Dallas. Great, love it. We will start in another minute. I encourage folks to ask questions in the chat during the masterclass. If you have any queries, if any question pops up in your head, feel free to ask Nicholas. He'll be happy to answer it towards the end of the session. We'll keep 5 to 10 minutes so we can take your questions. So I encourage you all, feel free to ask your questions. Ari has asked, will the recording be shared with us after the session? Yes, it will. The recording will be shared with you. So don't worry. You will have access to it and you can watch it after the session ends. Awesome. So once again, welcome everyone to this live webinar where we're going to unpack how leading web finance teams are automating close and reconciliation without writing a single line of code. Before I introduce the speaker for today's webinar, I want to quickly introduce Zenskar. Zenskar is an AI native order to cash platform. It's built ground up to automate finance workflows with intelligent agents and human in the loop reliability. So, what that means is basically we serve finance teams who are scaling fast but don't want to scale headcount just for revenue operations. So, Zenskar automates the entire revenue workflow using intelligent agents. What we do is we ingest contracts, generate invoices, sync journal entries, and surface actionable insights. So you and your team can focus, on strategic decisions, and you don't have to do repetitive, mundane work that a machine should be doing, like data entry, reconciliation, or grunt work. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest speaker today, who is Nicolas Boucher. He is a leading voice in finance, known for his expertise in AI for finance, FP&A, and controlling. With 15 years in senior finance roles, he shares daily insights with more than 2 million people via social media and his newsletter. As founder of the AI Finance Club, the first community for AI CFOs with more than 800 paying members, he has trained over 5,000 professionals and he delivers corporate training and keynotes to global companies, including Mercedes-Benz, Chanel, Hugo Boss, Ferrero. So you can discover more about his work at AI Finance Club. I will let Nicholas take over now. Over to you.
Thank you, and good day, everybody. So I see we have a really wide audience from all over the world. So I hope we are going together to see how AI can help you. I think most of you might be from accounting, or maybe you're already financial manager or CFOs. So please use the chat to ask your questions. There is also the Q&A option. So as we will go towards the end to the questions, if you want to make sure your question is going to be answered, put them in the Q&A. So without further ado, I will start because I have packed a lot of use cases for you. And the first one, I want to start with data cleaning and automations. And for the story, a long time ago, like I think like 6 years ago, I had a team, and the accountant, each time I was asking for a summary of the overdues, I just asked that in the morning because I was their boss, and then in the afternoon I was still waiting for the overdue summary, and I was really wondering like why does it take so much time? So I went to check my accountants, and they were telling me that yeah, like it's quite heavy. It's a lot of step until they could do the summary of overdues. And then I asked them like, show me how you do. And then they showed me like they went to SAP. They had to download the list. Then from the list, they had to go through each line, and they manually showed in which bucket they were. Like if it was below, so not overdue, if it was below 30 days, between 30 days and 90 days, or over 90 days. And then after they were calculating the sum by bucket. And I was like, wow, like I understand why it takes long because it's really manual. And the thing is, they were not really used to Excel. They were not really comfortable in Excel. And nobody was there to help them as well. So now, if I will have the same team, I will just show them what I'm going to show you, how to do this task. And this task, I'm actually going to ask AI to help me with this task. So let's imagine here, I have a list of overdue. And you can see I have the invoice ID, the amount, the client name, the country, and the due date. So that's what you get probably from all of your ERPs. The list might see might have different formats, but here it's a simple list. So from this list, what I will do after is I will go into ChatGPT. So you can see I have the latest version. And I'm explaining, I'm giving the context, saying I'm an accountant. I want to analyze our overdues. I want to calculate the number of days which overdue. I need to create a column showing the age bucket and a graph. And then I ask ChatGPT to create a file with the formulas and the Excel graph. And that's really important because I will pause here, just precising. And for everybody, like take a screenshot if you want, just like being really clear about the steps and also asking for formulas and Excel graphs. So be super specific. We'll see together what it allows us to get at the end. So I'm uploading my data because I work with ChatGPT Teams. That's a license, which is a professional license, which allows me to put my data inside because it's covered by the SOC 2 Type 2 reports by an external parties. So I'm comfortable putting my data inside. And after I will show you how to do it without putting your data. And look, like in a few seconds, I get here a file. So it's the same file that we had before, but now we have two columns added. We have the column F with the formula. And I don't know you, but this is not really like something that is easy to make for a lot of accountants, like using the today, using this type of formula. And then this one is even harder, like all of these conditional steps. Even me, I'm good in Excel, like to write this formula, I will need more time than what ChatGPT needed. And so now you can see that I have on top my aging done in a graph. And it's not a picture, it's a real graph. So just like tell me in the chat if you have already tried to use AI for this, like something that you need to do in Excel that would take you 20, 30 minutes. See how in 3 to 5 minutes, I could have it done by AI. I'm curious, like tell me in the chat if you have already tried that. And yes, you can also do that with Copilot. So what is really important is this works if you activate the reasoning model. So that's what ChatGPT 5 does, like it activates the reasoning model. You can also do that with Copilot, you can activate ChatGPT 5, or in Gemini, you can activate the Pro version, is also the reasoning model. So now, a lot of you, maybe you don't have yet the opportunity to upload your file. But that's okay, because if I say, if I want to do that on my own without uploading the file, how can I do it? Well, when I ask this, ChatGPT is going to propose to me all of the steps and also the formulas. So even when you don't upload your data and you just explain how your data looks like, it's going to give you the formulas. Or you just give like fake data or an example of your data. So even if you are not allowed to put your confidential data, you can still get a lot of help. And on top, if you want to create a template to help you, and a template having these formulas, ChatGPT can also do that for you. So let's open it. And when we open that, we have our templates where I can use in the future with inside in F and G, the same formulas that we need that I can copy and paste. So this was in 5 minutes how you can save a lot of time. And it's just one example. I choose a way simple example at the beginning because I want you to understand if you can use on all of your use cases, if you can use AI. So, and yes, like you can do that with the free version. You can put dummy data. The principle, I repeat, is one, you explain your tasks. Two, you ask, because if not, you will have calculated data and we want formulas. So ask explicitly to have formulas and Excel graphs. And even if you repeat 3 times, sometimes better. And then you ask to generate a file that has those formulas and these Excel graphs inside. So that's the first use case. And you can use that for a lot of other topics. What is the most important is that you know how to describe what you are doing. The second use case, let me show you a situation where we had, so let me go to the next slide. So this is maybe for people that are using Google Sheet instead of Excel, but you can also do that with Excel. Let's imagine you are receiving every week the credit card statement for all of the people who have a credit card. So it will look like this. So when we open the file, we have this file with one tab per credit card holder. And the data looks messy, like it's really hard. So let's go back. Like the data, you cannot do anything with this. It's really messy. You have like these lines that are useless. You have some of the columns that you don't really need. And the problem is you are asked to analyze these credit card statements. You are asked to categorize them to show like what is coming from travel, what is coming from services, what is coming from software. And I guess some of you have to do that manually and it's really time demanding. So instead, let's see how we can use AI first to clean the data, because before working on the data, we need to clean it. And I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, we cannot use AI if the data is not clean. Well, let me show you how you can use AI to make the data clean. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the first lines to show to AI how my data looks like. So I'm just pasting it. And I explained that I want to consolidate all the tabs in one. I want to keep only 3 columns. And then in each tab, I also want to remove, the useless lines at the beginning. And then I still want to have the credit card holder name, which is only the tab name. And at the end, I want to know from which company they belong. And for this, I know that one good way in Google Sheet to do that is to use Google Script. And if you are in Excel, you can use VBA or you can use Power Query. And here, you might be scared because you might think, oh, this is code I don't understand. I'm like you, like I never coded in my life. And because I never coded, I'm asking ChatGPT, how can I use this in Google Sheet? And where should I use this? And the big advantage of code is that it talks like the computer, and you avoid clicking everywhere and doing like a lot of steps manually. So I follow what it tells me. I go in the Google Sheet, I open extensions, I go to AppScript, I paste the code, I put the name of the code, and I run it. And now see how all of the work that I was supposed to do manually is now done automatically by the script. So this is here an example of how AI is going to write an automation for you. And once the automation works, you don't need AI anymore. You just reuse every week the same automation that is compiling and cleaning the data for you and making a simple file which you can use. And that is like for a lot of you who are wondering like how they can automate tasks with AI. Well, the best is because generative AI, you might always get like different type of output. And in finance, we want consistent output. What is important is to work once on an automation which doesn't need AI after. You write it once because here we don't need AI. We just need to have data clean. And we don't need that AI interpret the data. So that is really important to use AI for this because like try to code that yourself. You are not a coder, you will never succeed to do that. But if you use AI to code for you, you are going to save a lot of time and then you can replicate that at every closing process. Now, I have this file, okay? I have it consolidated and clean, but I still need to categorize all of these expenses. And if I need to do that manually, it's still a lot of work and I'm not going to save that much time. This is where we can use the power of generative AI to understand the meaning of each transactions and to categorize it. And let me show you two examples of how you can do that. And the first example, we are going to use a function of ChatGPT, which is not really used by a lot of people. And you can have this function also in Gemini with the gems and in Copilot with the agents. So in ChatGPT, it's called custom GPT. So let me show you how does it work. So what I will do, I will create a GPT. So just for everybody, like you need here to have a paid version, just like, but for Copilot and for gems, you can also create that. So here you can see upright. I'm going to create, or here below, I'm going to create a GPT. So then the GPT here is basically, I'm saying to AI, I want to create a GPT that is going to categorize my expenses. And each time I'm going to give you a credit card and you have to categorize based on these categories. So office, IT, marketing, professional services, cloud services. And here, the helper to build the GPT has understand these instructions. And based on this, we have created the GPT. So we just need now to give a nice name and a nice logo, and then we are done. So a nice logo with a credit card, and then also after a nice name. So here we go, we have our logo. And the big advantage also here is you can share this GPT later with your team. So here I can decide to share it within my organization or just to keep it for myself. So here I decide to share it with the Nicolas Boucher organization. Or you can decide to share it with anybody else. So here's my list. You remember the list that we cleaned together? So now I am in this GPT and I'm going to say, categorize the transactions. And here I don't explain what are the categories. I just give the instructions to go ahead and I upload my file inside this GPT. So let's go and click the plus button. Let's upload the file that is in my Google Drive, because I can also do that. You can also access Google Drive via ChatGPT. Now let's see if the GPT understands what it needs to be done. So first, the GPT reads what is inside the file and see all of this data. And in the consolidated tab, we have all of the information. And you can see that it has understand that all of these transactions need to be categorized. And those are 4 examples. So like this, I can see if it understood. And then I have the full table categorized line by line. You can see that there is a new column called category. One thing I noticed, however, is that some of the lines, and a bit too much in my taste, are always categorized other. So here I will pause, and you have to consider AI like somebody in your team. So it can be that you gave this task to an intern, and this intern comes back to you and say, oh, all of these lines, I don't really know how to categorize. And then so the intern was a bit lazy. So what you do is you go back to the intern and say, please try harder. And that's exactly what we do here. So I will say, like, review your work, and where you have others, please try better, like try more. And so after I do that, I will ask the AI to work more on this and harder. And this is because those models, sometimes they are limited, and if you give too much to do, they might take shortcuts. But now that I gave this information, I have much less lines with others, and now I can go ahead and then have my last review. And now all of these lines are categorized, and it took me like a few minutes to do. And every month I can use this GPT and save a lot of time. So tell me in the chat, what do you think about this tool, which is like a AI workflow where you give a task and you can always come back and get an output from the AI. And to create the GPT, you need to have a paid version, because I see these questions coming a lot of time. So the thing here is now, you notice that it's still human triggered. I am still there to upload the data. I'm still there to instruct. I'm still there to start the custom GPT. And that's a problem that we have with just human using the LLM chatbot, is that it's not a real automation, because the human is always the trigger. For this, there is a tool that is great, which you can automate tasks with by triggering the workflow. And this tool is called N8N. And we can create the same type of expense categorizer, but with an automation which starts by itself. So let me show you how. So I will show you how to create this. So I am back here so I am in N8N, and you can see the workflow. For now, the workflow starts with me clicking, but I can start the workflow by a daily workflow or a monthly workflow, or when an email arrives. And then I have here the workflow that captures the expense categories. And the workflow then will get also the transactions. So you can see the tab transactions that we got before. And then it will merge all of this. We can see the connection will merge all of this and bring all of this in the brain. and the brain is OpenAI. Here, in the brain, we tell to OpenAI, you are somebody who's going to classify our expenses, but you are also going to find out from which locations they are. So that two tasks, like categorize and location. And then the output need to be a list. So you can see the task, you can see the details, you can see what we ask. So this is the brain, this is the instruction. It's basically like you prompting, this is this. But the best part is that now it's going to be automatic. And then the output, we say, when you are done, don't give me an email, don't give me a text chat. Put your information directly in a Google Sheet. So we are going to test the workflow. So we pull the information, we merge it, and we bring it into the brain. And now we open the brain to see what is happening. So let's open the brain, and we can see on the left the input. So we can see all of the lines. In the middle, the process, and in the right, the output. But to see the right, like the output, let's see directly into the Google Sheet. And now you can see the two columns created, F and G, where we have the category, plus we have also the expense location. So now, on top of having your categories cleaned, we have also, on top of having your transactions cleaned, because we have a really nice file, we have also now each transaction categorized and on top the expense location. And still, I insist on this, you are the manager, you are the reviewer, you need to review and to make sense of this and to make sure there is no error. The same way that you will work with somebody from your team. So tell me in the chat what you think about this. And for the question, N810, you pay if you pay for the hosting because they host the workflow themselves between $20 and $60. But you can host yourself and not pay anything. And then you have to pay still the API if you are asking OpenAI to work on it. But it's much cheaper than if you have somebody working on that for 1 hour. That's for sure. So this is how in finance, this is our future ready, how we are going to delegate some of our tasks that are mundane, recurring, and where we are going to ask AI to help us. So this is how we can prepare for month-end tasks that are really mundane and not really interesting to do because they are like low value. Now let's do something that is a bit of higher value. And what is high value in finance for us? Well, financial analysis. And you can actually do financial analysis with AI. And for this, we can use my 6-step approach. And I encourage everybody to really like screenshot this because the most important is to use a reasoning model. So I will show to everybody now what is a reasoning model because I think for a lot of people it's not clear. This is what changed a lot now since 1 week with ChatGPT 5. ChatGPT 5 is not really a new model, is a routing model. So it's a model that decides if your question will go to something fast, so a model that answers fast, or a model that thinks a lot. And you can see that, fast or thinking. ChatGPT 5 by default is auto, meaning like based on your question, it will decide if you need a fast answer or if you need an answer that needs more time to think about, to resonate. Or you can decide yourself by clicking fast or thinking. For Copilot, you can also decide to use GPT-5 upright if you have the Copilot business version. So here I'm activating GPT-5, so it does the same. It will route your question on something to think hard if it's a hard question, or if it's just like writing an email, it will be a fast answer. So two different models. But if you want to have to do financial analysis, the best in Copilot is actually the analyst agent, which is there. And there, the analyst agent behind is a reasoning model. When we ask you questions, you can see that it's reasoning. Like when you try anything there, you can see that. If you are in Gemini, you can choose between fast, so that's the flash model, or reasoning pro. So again, if you do financial analysis, use the pro. So that's really important for everybody. Like if you do financial analysis, make sure it's using a reasoning model. So let's go back to my example and let's look at all of the steps. A lot of people, what they do is when they ask AI to do financial analysis, they just give the data and say, analyze this. But imagine if you have somebody in your team, and I will stop the screen sharing. Imagine about that. You have somebody in your team and you send them an email with just an Excel file and you just write, analyze this. What do you think about the quality of the work of your team member if they just get this instruction? Like, do you think it's enough as instruction? Like, what should they get? Like, if you are the manager, if you are the coach, if you are the senior, you're probably explaining why are we doing this analysis, where the data comes from, what are the checks to do, what are maybe the output expected, which type of analysis you want to see, maybe the visualizations. And this is much more than just saying, analyze this file. So for this, I recommend you, and please screenshot that, to use the 6-step approach. Let me just share. So tell me in the chat if you could screenshot that. I will show it again. Oh, the 6-step approach, the number one, the same that I always used to do when I'm an ex-auditor. And the first step before starting an analysis is always check that the data is consistent. Like check that the total ties to the general ledger. Check that all of the tabs are consistent. So that's the first step. Then step two, this is more like something that I do with AI to make sure that AI has in all of the data. I'm asking to show me back the data it read. Just like for me, it's more a check. It's a bit with your team if you're asking like, okay, make sure you have the right data. Then number three, based on what you have, tell me what you are going to do, what type of analysis. Then step four, okay, now go ahead and do the analysis and detail for me the calculations so I understand what you did. Step five, for each analysis, I want to see your visualizations. In step six, now create the commentaries like you are a seasoned CFO. So once we have this, let's see in action if we have a really simple file where for each region, we have revenue, EBIT, and comparison against last year. So I'm going to add this file from the drive. And you can do that in ChatGPT or in Copilot with a file that you upload yourself. Really important is these 6 steps. It's much more important than the model. If you have reasoning model and you have these 6 steps, the quality will be much higher than just saying analyze this data. So I'm uploading with these 6 steps. And you can see, because it's a reasoning model, you can see all of the steps of the reasoning. And that's really interesting because we can see live if it understands what needs to be done. And I accelerated it here a bit because it takes like 5 to 6 minutes until really process all of the information. But we will arrive soon to the first step, data integrity and validation. And here you can see all of the checks that were done. And then the step 2, we have basically the show me your data to make sure that AI use the right data. So I have to show me back the data, kind of like a pivot table. and I could check back to make sure that the data is the same that what I had. And on top, within Gemini, you can ask for a Google Sheet file that you create. Then we will go back to the discussion, and let's see, based on this data, what type of analysis we got proposed. I didn't get that. So the strategy, we have the top down, the key metrics, the actionable insights, and then the calculation. And this is really cool. Like, I will pause here a few seconds. Like, by itself, it built an EBIT bridge explaining the difference between the EBIT 2024 and 23 using the volume and the change in margin. And we'll see later why it's important that it did that. And then after we have the commentaries, but what we don't have the visual yet. So that's something I'm really open. AI never works always 100%. So that's why here, I try a second time. Please show me the visualizations. And after a few seconds, because it has all the data, then I get all of the visuals that I needed to have earlier. Here we have the comparison of EBIT by region, and then the changes, and then the evolution. And finally, again, the commentaries. So this is really good when it's a one-off analysis, when it's your first time you do the analysis. I will not encourage you to do every month your monthly analysis just like this, because first, it will never use the same strategy, and second, it's really hard to keep a documentation of your work just by a chat, which is in Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot. So after that, what you should do, once you have done the analysis within your discussion, you can ask, okay, how can I do that in Excel? And then like this, you have the analysis done in Excel with the best formulas, with maybe some script, and then you can automate this. Or if you're a bit more fancy and a bit more courageous, you can ask, okay, give me the Python code that just does this in my Excel file, and then it will also do that. But this is good if you like just writing and then some graph. But we all have to create PowerPoint slides. We all have to create reporting. And a lot of people are always asking me, how do you use AI to create PowerPoint slides? And right now, it's like nothing is really good to create PowerPoint slides. It can create like, I would say like the text, but not really something with nice graph, with nice design. For two reasons. First, the PowerPoint code is not something where you have a lot of documentation on. Like, it's only Microsoft that knows the PowerPoint code, and it's really hard for software to write PowerPoint code. And second, the PowerPoint code itself is not really dynamic. It's not really easy to use. So instead of using PowerPoint, we are going to use something else. And let me show you what we are going to do. So now that I want to go to the next step where I'm going to create a reporting, I will continue my discussion and ask, okay, now create the commentaries for the CFO in a document. So you can see I have here a report with all of the commentaries. Of course, like always, you need to check, you need to make sure you understand what is written and if it's correct. But look at what we are going to do right now. I'm going to activate the Canvas function, which is the same in ChatGPT. And I'm going to ask to make this a document. Because Canvas are with an S, so not like the software to make picture, but Canvas are good tools to write code and to create documents. And up right, look at what happened. There is a create button that happened, and I can create an infographic. Well, infographic, actually is not really an infographic that we'll get. Let's see what we'll get. So what here Gemini is doing, it's writing HTML code to represent the commentaries in something a bit more visual. It's basically like for those that have done internet before, you can see here that we get HTML code written. And then I'm going to use this code. I'm going to click upright on share. I'm going to copy the code. And I'm going just to put this code in something where I can see the result of HTML. Let's paste this code and look at what we get. We get a perfect reporting with the storytelling, with the graph, with the EBIT bridge, with the strategic recommendations, and something that I can go and either send by email or I can use in my meeting with the management to present our figures. And I could even ask here, like another version is to ask to make each part as a slide and with something where I click to go right or left to swipe from one slide to another. And that's really the future of using AI to make our reporting much more modern and much more flexible. And here, as it's a web page, I can even click on things and make something happen. Like I could create here a scenario with button where I can see different scenarios and different outputs based on different assumptions. So I encourage everybody to try that, to create HTML reports with Gemini or with ChatGPT. And for those who want to see in ChatGPT where to do that, you click plus, you click canvas, and you just say like create, like, I mean, you give your file and all of this, and you can create an HTML report based on this data. And of course, the more you are precise about what type of report you want, like I want maybe a graph on this, I want a scenario analysis, I want a comparison, then the better will be the report. So I will pause on this and check if you have any like small question on this before we move to Apoorv, who prepared also something for you because I've shown you what you can do with agnostic tools. Because ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they're really good, like a bit Excel, to do something if you know what you want, if you can also ask the right questions. But the problem is they are not linked with accounting data, and you still need yourself to figure out like how to prompt and what to ask. And there are tools like Zenscar where it's a bit more advanced because they are specialized in the in creating exactly the right prompt for it, in asking AI to use the right information to create value for you. So you have to be less like in the command because Zenscar does it itself. So Apoorv, do you want to come in and explain how also you use AI at Zenscar?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and I'll keep it short, not more than 5 minutes before I'll dive it in and open for Q&A. Would love to just talk about more specific use cases of AI than ChatGPT and Gemini. Am I audible okay? Uh,
Yes, you are good.
Awesome. Yeah, so essentially what we do at Genstar is we are an AI native order to cash platform. Uh, Now I'll talk about what that means. So, essentially at the background, we're building the autonomous future of finance where operations just run themselves, so that finance teams can focus on more strategic work than having to spend majority of their bandwidth focusing on operational tasks. So we have finance specific agents, unlike the more generic agents that ChatGPT has. that manage your invoicing, your collections, your revenue recognition, your revenue reporting, all of it in the background, all while dealing with a conversational interface, where you can chat with the platform, ask it questions, give it instructions, ask it for insights, ask it for guidance. And largely the goal we help solve is finance teams can scale the business without having to scale headcount, and focus on more strategic tasks than operational tasks. Very quick background, both me and my co-founders are second-time founders. At our previous companies, we had a dynamic which I'm sure some of you may have seen with if you work in a B2B company where a sales team will go sell a contract to a customer to go close the deal. These contracts get pretty complex, only limited by the creativity of the sales team. These contracts tended to have all kinds of custom clauses, discounts, and ramps and milestones and bundles, and early payment rewards and late payment penalties, and managing billing, revenue accounting, revenue reporting for these kinds of use cases ended up being a pain, because most of the tools that we had seen in the market that we were used to using, these tools were kind of built in an era where software pricing was more kind of per user per month, per seat per month. Today, the world has evolved, pricing models have evolved, and we live in an era where AI native tooling needs to be available for pricing models that are more of today's day and age, sales-led B2B motions, subscription, consumption, hybrid pricing models. And that's what led us to start Zenskar 3 years ago. The outcomes we help your teams accomplish, the holy grail, 0-day close, 50% lower DSO. We have surprisingly helped our customers uncover, up to 5% revenue uplift because of billing errors, missed invoicing, incorrect invoicing that they saw when they were running billing and order to cash manually. Of course, saving hundreds of finance hours, all while significantly reducing engineering dependence within your teams. In a nutshell, what we do is this is a visual representation of what Zenskar does. We sit in between your CRM, your ERP. If you have consumption-based pricing, we kind of talk to your consumption data sources. We talk to your payment stack, and we manage your pricing, contracts, billing, collections, revenue accounting, and revenue reporting. I'm happy to kind of dive deeper and spend just 1 or 2 minutes giving you a sneak peek into the platform and how it works. A very real use case of AI and how it kind of helps you save time on a day-to-day basis with billing, revenue accounting, revenue reporting. So in a lot of cases, we see sales teams, they have their sales contracts living in a PDF. You can just come in and upload the contract on Zenskar, and Zenskar's AI, which is more than a specific OCR, it can read these contracts no matter how long or how complex they are. It picks up the terms in the contract. This is all kind of having a human in the loop. The AI will not be 100% accurate to begin with. So you can add prompts, give it prompts to say, hey, you know what, read this product name accordingly, read this discount accordingly, write custom prompts. You can come in and make edits on top of it. So the platform is infinitely flexible to help you configure different types of pricing models that your sales teams may want to sell. Flat fee, discounts, custom pricing, tiered pricing, prepaid, postpaid, discounts, credits, grants, entitlements, and whatnot. Sometimes, your pricing may live in your CRM. It may not be in a PDF contract. So you could just go hook up your CRM into Zenskar, and we fetch the information from the CRM. And once the contracts and the usage, if you have usage-based pricing, you can hook up your data sources into Zenskar. Once that data flows into Zenskar, it automatically generates your invoices. Happy to give you a deeper demo, but I don't want to spend too much of the time on this call just diving into the product. I want to also leave time for questions for Nicholas. We have a few agents. You can talk to the agent. I'm sure you prepare reports for your board, for your executive leadership teams, where you have to, report your revenue, report your churn, report every quarter different metrics. So with Zenskar's AI Copilot, you can just chat with it, tell it to ask it for what's my DSO, who are my top 5 customers. It can give you proactive insights, tell you about churn that's coming up. And lastly, the revenue accounting module. is fully built on top of 606. So on Zenskar, the billing and the revenue accounting are fully decoupled. The contracts and the usage drive your billing, and separately the contracts and the usage drive your revenue accounting. So once the contracts are in Zenskar, the AI reads them, it creates performance obligations from the contracts, derives them out. The revenue rules can be created and fully customized, and it creates your journal entries. So all of the spreadsheets that you're typically drowning in, color-coded spreadsheets where you have your revenue waterfalls and deferred revenue schedules, and you have to talk to your sales teams to get the contract information and talk to the product teams to get the usage information. With Zenskar, all that goes away, since we become the source of truth for your contract, source of truth for your usage, source of truth for your revenue. And since we have all that information, we do your revenue accounting, become your revenue subledger, and post all of the information back into your ERP or your GL. So yeah, that's a super high level overview of the platform. Of course, if you're interested in a deeper demo, feel free to write to us, and we'd be happy to kind of give you a demo of the platform. But yeah, I think would love to kind of dive into Q&A. I saw a bunch of questions in chat that I don't think Nicholas was able to get to during the actual presentation. So Nicholas, I'll request you to come back on. And yeah, we can have some of the questions from the audience, and feel free to also, to the audience, post other questions that you may have.
Yeah. Can you allow me to have my video on, please? Yes,
Yeah.
no, it's good. Awesome.
Awesome. Nicholas, we have a bunch of questions in the chat, and if the audience has more questions, please, post. But I noted a few. I think one was, around you were showing how people can do cool stuff with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Copilot, but a lot of the questions are around security of the data, which is also a lot of the questions that we get on Zenskar. Hey, you have access to our critical information. How do you handle security? So I can answer that for a company like Zenskar, where we don't use your data to train our models. These models are trained on publicly available data, but on finance specific use cases. And your data is completely secure, not used to train models. It's also part of our MSAs that we sign with clients, where it's like not allowed to use your data to train on our models. But maybe I'll let Nicholas answer on how more generic tools and not finance specific tools like Zenskar handle security. Like if you're uploading all this data to a ChatGPT, Gemini and whatnot, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so is the number one question I get all the time. And we could see that in the chat, in the Q&A. First, it's not new that we should pay attention of where our data are going. But somehow we slept on that because we were used to cloud and we didn't think anymore that it's a topic. But 15 years ago, when AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud came, and then everybody like went from having all of their data onto their laptop to having everything outside of their laptop or their servers, I could tell you like a lot of people were not really comfortable about that. But now like nobody is asking themselves if it's okay that an Excel file is being transferred from their Outlook to an Outlook of another person, and then in between, everything is on Azure and the Microsoft environment. Like nobody's asking if it's okay or not. And actually, when you use Copilot, Microsoft is saying like the Microsoft 365 Copilot, so the professional one, and the business one, let's say, business one, it uses exactly the same security standards than if you use Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, SharePoint, OneDrive, like all of the Microsoft 365 suite of software. And so that's why I always ask people, like, why are you comfortable to use Excel online and OneDrive online and Outlook, but not Copilot? Because it's exactly the same security environment. And then Microsoft also says that they don't train on your data. So I think it's good to be afraid of it because we need to be cautious, especially in finance. We are responsible of the data. We need to pay attention, but we should not just be blocked by this. We should learn ourselves. Okay, how does it work really? And how does it work is that you are using exactly the same security standards than the other tools that you were already using before. And the models are not training on your data if you have corporate license. If you use, let's say, like a free version of ChatGPT, there by default, if you don't activate it, then it will train on your data. But you can always untick the option in ChatGPT, and you are still using a license which is not professional. So where ChatGPT doesn't confirm that they have a high security standards there. ChatGPT only give assurance, and you can see on the right side, for the team and the enterprise version and the API. So when I'm using APIs through N8N, that's okay. And when I am using the team version, both are covered by the SOC 2 audit, which is actually, that's interesting. It comes from ACPA, AICPA, like the accounting organization in the US. They created those standards for security of data. So if you have a team or enterprise version of ChatGPT, one, they don't train on your data by default. And second, they are covered by a SOC 2 type 2 level 2 of report, which is the standard in our business, so in finance business, to make sure the data and the people using your data have enough security to make sure that your data is not used somewhere else or that nobody is going to breach into the data. But it all depends on what is your business. Like in my older business, it was defense, and Americans can say whatever they want, Europeans, whatever. Like if the Ministry of Defense of France say your data needs to stay between like these four walls and only like these five people need to have access, then you cannot use any cloud solution. So that's why you always need to understand. But I guess 99% of the people online here, you need to use the professional license where you know that they don't train your data and they have a SOC 2 type 2 level of report.
Awesome. I guess one other question that I read was, if ChatGPT is doing all of this, will my job become redundant? I think I was at a conference recently where, I heard that about 70 years ago when the calculator came out, the accountants at that time were asking, will their jobs become redundant? And the same thing happened when computers came out and then when the internet came out. So I guess this is just another transformation. It's a different level, of course. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before. But people said the same thing when the internet came out 25 years ago. So yeah, my personal take is that, teams will evolve to where humans are doing more strategic work. And everybody will be doing more strategic work, and as a result, as a society, we may progress much faster. The nature of jobs will change, but jobs themselves, will not go away. But I'm curious what Nicholas has to say on that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. We had like a lot of people saw that there was this webinar. We were like, I think 300 people, now 250 because towards the end. It shows that if you came today, I think you are more on the secure side because you understand the importance of using AI and you take time to learn about it. But there are still people that don't understand that or don't take the time. And if you came today, you actually have the responsibility to make sure that your team or your colleagues or your wife or your friends, that they understand like how important it is to leverage AI and like go and change their mind, like show them the use cases I showed you, like go back to the recording we are going to send you by email to change the mind of people that are still thinking that AI is not for them or AI is not going to help them. Like, because those are at risk. Like you came, you stayed 1 hour with us, you invested time, which is really hard in those days, especially like in finance. So I think continue like this, but also take everybody else with us because those people, I'm a bit worried for them. And that's why I also do that. Like I share a lot because I want to help finance people to make sure they take the AI wave and we get even better than before.
Awesome. I see some more questions, but we're out of time. Think we've hit
I
the
can say a bit more if you want. For me, it's fine. We have the recording anyway. Like if people want to really have to leave, I guess that they will get the recording. So we can take one question more if you want.
Yeah, I think the most common one that I'm seeing here is people saying there's too many tools. There's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's Copilot. They all have some free versions and some paid versions, and I think at least I see 4 people having asked this, like, which one of these would you recommend if you had to pick one?
Yeah. So in the AI Friends Club, I have a lot of I talk with a lot of CFOs. So that's my paid community. And that's the first question I always get, like, oh, which tool should I take? And you need to understand that those tools are really close to each other. What makes the difference is your current environment. If you are a Microsoft shop, meaning like you already have everything in Microsoft, then if you go with ChatGPT, the problem is ChatGPT cannot talk with your emails, cannot talk with your files, cannot be integrated with Microsoft Dynamics or within PowerPoint. So you will always be like the robot that is like taking information from Microsoft into ChatGPT and then back. And so this is not efficient. So go ahead with Copilot because Copilot has access to all of this information and it's getting better all the time. And yes, today, like if you compare both, sometimes ChatGPT looks a bit better, but the fact that ChatGPT doesn't have access to your work, it's a big difference, which over time will, like the quality of the answer will be the same, and then the people who will have access to their work environment will do more because they don't have to pull the information, they don't have to recall where's the info. Copilot has it. And if you are instead with Google, then take Gemini. If you are kind of agnostic, then you can go ahead with ChatGPT. But stick to one and get super good at one. And then it doesn't matter if the other model has like this really nice function that just appeared. What you can do is much more than somebody who is trying to use all the tools. And the same if we say like a lot of people are not there today because a lot of people didn't take the AI wave. If you put them like 4 tools to choose, they will choose none. Like it's called analysis paralysis. Too many choice, I don't do anything because I don't know where to go. So if you're a manager, stick to one tool, give this tool to everybody in your team with a license, like professional license. And then as they have one tool, as they have a corporate license, then they are entitled and empowered to use it. And then they can do more, they can learn more. And then as a team, you can also learn more. And like this, you will be better than the other team there where maybe only 5 people have a license. Then all of the others, they do something like kind of a hidden because they are not allowed. And at the end, like it's just not optimized and this team is going to be late compared to your team.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone, for joining in and tuning in. I hope you had a great session. And if you have any questions, feel free to write back to us and, we'll relay them to Nicholas as well. And thank you, Nicholas, for, sharing such a insightful presentation. And it's clear from the questions how useful people found it. So appreciate all the work you put in.
And I put if people want to continue to learn, I have also like a YouTube channel where I was posting like cool stuff recently, like cool demos. So go ahead, like subscribe to it. Tell me what you think, and yeah, like pass the message to all people around you. Like you invested time, just make sure everybody else is getting the same message. And for this, like use the recording, share it with your colleagues.
Awesome. Thank you.